The United Nations designated July 30th, this day, as the World Day Against Trafficking in Persons to raise awareness of the devastating issue and to promote the protection of people's basic human rights.
This year, the focus is on highlighting the importance of government action in the interest of victims of trafficking. Human trafficking takes various forms and can be within and beyond a country's borders. This morning, as the country marks the World Day Against Trafficking in Persons, we take a closer look at what is being done to address this vice by government and other local and international stakeholders. Parliament does acknowledge the gravity of this problem, and it recently directed government to explain measures put in place to rescue Ugandan girls who are trapped in foreign labor markets. We are joined this morning by Mr. Moses Binoga, Coordinator Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force, and also from the Ministry of Internal Affairs, and Miss Erica Dibona Fofana, Program Coordinator, International Organization of Migration. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. First of all, I have to congratulate myself for nailing Fofana's name all the way from start to the end with no stammering. Congratulations. Yes, congratulations. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Okay.
Human trafficking is a discussion that has... the celebrations come at a time when the discussion is back. Everyone, no, well, not everyone, but there's been a huge discussion about human trafficking. But one would ask is, how bad is this? First, we need to understand, because you can't just wake up in the morning and start complaining that the house is dirty without telling us how dirty the house is. So how bad is human trafficking in this country, so that we can get into further discussion about it? I don't know what's to take on that.
Yeah, okay. Human trafficking in Uganda is real, and it's affecting both children and adults. It is happening internally and then also transnationally. Internally, it is mostly affecting children from vulnerable homes, from poor or some big homes who are seeking for assistance. And people take children and they end up abusing them sexually, and also use them in hard labors and other unbefitting circumstances. And then transnationally, it is affecting mostly the youth, both girls and youth, the male and female, but mostly the female, and who have been going out. And when they are convinced to go out for work, and when they reach there, they find that what they have been promised does not exist, and if it exists, is different from what they had expected, and they end up not having a way of being assisted. Some of them are abused sexually, others are forced to work without pay, others are forced to work even when they are sick and they are not paid. Others, we think, others could have maybe been killed and their internal organism harvested.
Mr. Rook, I'm going to interrupt you just a second, because I need us to understand what human trafficking is exactly. Because when you're explaining human trafficking, I hear about 5 things in there. There is 1, moving these girls and boys from... Let's concentrate a lot on the human trafficking that we have been having a huge discussion on, which has been these kids who are being taken out to the United Arab Emirates, especially for work. So which part of this is human trafficking? Is it taking them from this country to another country for work? Is it taking them for work and they don't work, or they don't do what they are taken to do? Is it them being abused when they get there that is human trafficking? We need to differentiate this.
The concept of human trafficking is global. It is defined in a specific way.
It has got
three basic elements.
Okay.
One is mobilization of a human being. Mobilization, contacting and convincing a human being through deception, through telling lies to that person, or through fraud, maybe using forged documents, or sometimes through force, and then transferring that person who is mobilized from one place to another for purposes of exploitation. And there are various forms of exploitation. which technically define what trafficking is. And the most common ones are labor exploitation. That's why you hear someone working without pay, someone being forced to work against her will or his will. That is what we mean for forced labor. That's labor exploitation. And then the other one is the sexual exploitation, when someone is forced into sexual acts involuntarily, and they are forced, most of them are forced to become prostitutes by some other people, and the benefits out of the prostitution goes to those who mobilize them.
Why I wanted us to understand that is we have companies in this country that are licensed, and they are organizing these young girls and boys and getting them jobs, and they are being transferred to go and do those jobs. And then at the end of the day, there are these same companies that we hear these girls complaining about and all that, and then in our minds the explanation from police and all the other entities is this is human trafficking. Yet these are companies that are licensed. These are companies that you have trusted as government to take these young boys and girls for work. So that is why I need us to differentiate and understand it well.
That's why there is a way trafficking can be defined technically. And then there is a general assumption that whoever cries out, whoever has a challenge outside is a victim of trafficking. But some of those are exaggerated assumptions, because the technically trafficking must have element of deceit during the period of recruitment and transportation, and even receiving that person. They deceive you. If they don't, these cases involving licensed companies, most of them are issue of industrial relations issues. Industrial or labor relations issues, where you fail to agree with an employer because they go away lawfully. So where they fail to agree with the employer, that is the industrial relations. And that's why in my late explanation we were saying we are trying to work with the Ministry of Labor to try to strengthen that arm of supervising these companies, so that they can be able to do their due diligence and be able to solve those relations in the labor relations between their clients and the employers. And those are not the categories who are suffering mostly. And the fraction is very few of those taken by licensed companies. The major problem are these ones who are sneaked out of the country through fraudulently, sometimes through the Kenya-Uganda border, through other neighboring countries, and then later on when they reach there is no proper arrangement for them. They have not signed a contract agreement when they are living here. Most of them live here like they are going to be they are visitors or tourists, and when they reach there they force them into things they don't understand.
Of course we'll be getting into of course we'll be getting deeper into the gaps that are there and how we can fix them, especially now that this is a big day for this issue. That's Uganda. How big is the burden? What's the magnitude of this burden internationally on a global perspective?
On a global perspective, you can say first of all that we have a huge challenge also to understand the data. It's not that easy to collect data and to elaborate statistics on this crime, because it's a complex crime that takes place, involves many countries, different actors. But of course there have been efforts to at least try to produce statistics that can help to respond better, to understand better what is human trafficking, how it happens, and also the profile of the victim. We have a global database with over 50,000 personal information of victims that have been done by IOM. We have also a report by UNODC, and ILO has also worked together with IOM on providing estimates on even modern slavery. What we estimate at the moment is that at any day we have about 40 million persons in the world that are victims of this crime, and amongst this number we estimate that we have 25 that are trafficked in forced labor and 15 also in forced marriage. We know also that 70% of these cases happen across a border. So we have also the international character of this crime, without, of course, forgetting that it can happen also just within a country. We have, of course, a majority of cases that involves women and girls, but also because there is a general belief that this can happen only to women and girls. So it's only more recently that we have acknowledged that, of course, it can happen also to men and boys, and consequently also the detection and the number now of victims that have been reported on men and boys have been growing. We have seen also that the average age of victims is 26 years old, without forgetting that in the last 10 years, between 15 and 30% of these victims are children, with an average age of 11 years old, so even extremely young.
And you know, the face of human trafficking and trafficking in persons, so to speak, is changing by the day. Now it's not just about people being taken from country X to country Y, it's happening within a given jurisdiction as well. So with regards to that, maybe with regards to statistics that you have, which countries are topping that particular list?
We can say that the data that, for example, that have been collected by UNODC involve 170 countries of origin and 171 country where the crime has been committed. So we cannot target one country in particular. Unfortunately, no one is immune from this crime to happen, and that's why it's important that there is a concerted effort from all countries, that they are aware of what this crime is and how to fight against it, in order, to fight it wherever it can happen, and it can happen literally everywhere. In Europe, in Africa, in Asia, no country is immune to that.
We have pictures of Helen Akello, who has been working as a maid in Saudi Arabia. She is trying to return. I think a producer can help me here, and we can have some of those pictures so that you can see this. We have had too many stories of these young boys and girls who have been taken to go for work, and it hasn't ended like it was planned. So you say you're working with the Ministry of Labour to bridge this gap, but as it stands today, we have there's groups that have been created, WhatsApp groups, people sharing videos of girls being locked up, of girls being tied with their hands at the back. This is not the work that they went to do. Clearly, we can't entirely put the blame on these companies that are taking these girls for work. What is the government doing to help us with where these girls are going, so that the people that are receiving these girls for work, it doesn't turn from what was initially a good deal for them to go and get something to do and work into trafficking? What is the government doing in between there to make sure that we bridge this gap? Because there's too many cases.
Yeah, thank you. Countering human trafficking involves a number of stakeholders. Just as you have said. Yeah. And it involves a number of stakeholders, it involves a number of policies.
As you speak, you can see pictures of this little girl, Helen Akello.
Yeah. It involves policies related to labor migration. It involves policies related to child protection. And then it also involves detection, and then it also involves awareness, so that people who are trafficked can be aware and be able to detect it early enough that they could be leading into a trap. So it is a combination of so many issues. What the government of Uganda has done, we've formed a task force committee which comprises stakeholders from various ministries, including the Ministry of Labour, Immigration, Uganda Police, and many others, and intelligence agencies. And we have analyzed the basic laws, and this is the Prevention of Trafficking in Persons Act. We have also analyzed the Employment Act, where they developed regulations for externalization of labor, and we have also analyzed the Children's Act, but now we shall concentrate on the Employment Act.
All right.
And under this Employment Act, there are regulations for externalization of labor,
Okay.
which were made in 2005.
Okay.
These regulations are the ones which give the power of the Ministry of Labor to license private individuals to export labor. And we know these regulations have some bit of laxity in them. We have tried to analyze them, and we have agreed that they need to be reviewed and some of the gaps sealed up, so that there is a proper supervision and monitoring of the workers, Ugandan migrant workers who are going out through these companies.
All right.
And the relevant ministry is working on that.
All right.
Yes.
Many experts have, delved into this particular issue, and they've said that the only way we can, sort out this issue is to ensure that we, put in enforcement. Enforcement is everything. We can have all the perfect laws, but enforcement is key. But however, it's not all doom and gloom, and some of them actually go out, are successful, and they help their families. And of course, as NTV, we did do one story, and we'd like to take a look at this. Let's take a watch.
Going to the Arab countries is seen as a solution to the desperate unemployment youths in Uganda today, with more than 100,000 people exported for jobs. Despite the hardships reported, this has not stopped many from going to work in the Middle East, with some going through registered companies, while others using individuals. Going to the Arab countries is seen as a solution to the desperate unemployment youths in Uganda today, with more than 100,000 people exported for jobs. Diana Rumansi travelled to Jordan in 2016 to work as a maid.
Nkola nagenda nga ndabirira mukadde nembera n'oyo mukadde kuba we natuuka eri omukadde n'alwala ne tugenda ku kitanda nga nakatuuka ne tumala ku kitanda ennaku ne tudde waka.
She's among the few successful people working in the Arab countries.
Natuuka ne ndaba nga ntuuse ku Kaserengeto kuba mubaamu obuwonvu ebikko neki n'omuseetwe ne kati nagenda okulaba nga ndi Kaserengeto era sente gye ziri.
She has a different perspective in the Arab countries.
Muwala yenna ng'agenda by'alina okwewala, olina okwewala okweseseza ku bbawooli kuba bo ku musajja tasaaga. Teweesesa n'abaana bawaka balenzi, olina okukuuma obusungu kuba abana abantu baboggola n'omutima ne gukuvaamu. Bw'akubogolera gwe kitwale ize.
Trust us more than their families, and we don't disappoint them. Because now it's hectic for a girl or 10 of them to send us money to go and bank it for them. But it is worth it. I want a girl to come back from Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Dubai, anywhere, or a boy, and they have something in their account.
Mariam Nantongo, who also works as a maid in Oman, is another success story who believes that there are a lot of good stories that must be talked about despite a few cases of mistreatment.
Sente ozifunira okusinga wano kubanga wano era ensonga esinga otutwala emirimu giba gibuze omulimu gubula n'otuula nga tolina option yonna ndala okujjako okugenda.
There is a saying I normally use: don't go abroad and come back when the people you left behind are better than you.
Well, don't go abroad and come back when the people you left here are doing better than you. So we've had some success stories with a lady there sharing all the way from Oman, and that is a place that everyone has been saying and pointing out as the one place that, no one should go for work. But we have success stories. So it's not all doom when it comes to the people who travel to the United Arab Emirates for work. But anyway, before we wrap this up, because of time we have to, I'll give you each just a minute to for your parting shots, but we'll begin with you, Eric Debona. Parting shots today as we mark this day.
I would like to say that until we have a victim out there that is suffering, that is in silence, that is not protected, we have all failed and we have all work to do. So being a policeman, a doctor, a policymaker, a brother or a sister, there is always a role that you can play. If you think that you have no role, at least pass the message.
Okay.
Tell to someone else, and probably a potential victim is there hearing you and could potentially be saved against a potential case of trafficking.
We have commemorations for the day. Give us the details, please.
Yeah, today we are at Imperial Real. We are going to have a public dialogue to continue informing the public that trafficking in persons is real.
Yes.
And there are systems which have been put in place by government which continue to be perfected and strengthened, and that the public should continue following the guidance which have been given by the public, by the government, and the other stakeholders whom we work with, to be able to avoid being trafficked.
Okay.
And in case they are in danger, they should follow the same guidelines to make reports so that they can be assisted.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Moses Binoga, Coordinator Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force, and all the way from Ministry of Internal Affairs. And Miss Erica Dibona Fofana, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Program Coordinator, International Organization of Migration. That's it for today. Unfortunately, time doesn't allow us to go past this, but thank you very much for being part of the conversation. The hashtag is Morning at NTV if you have any opinion that you want to share with us. We'll be back here tomorrow, same time, same place, 6:30 to 9 a.m. Till then, you take good care of yourselves and be good to one another, and let's make it work.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
The Daily